Hi, I'm Josh, aka Kaminari, and in this video I'm going to discuss the pros and cons of Sparking Zero and Xenoverse, but more on the side of why Sparking Zero failed where Xenoverse succeeded, and from the perspective of a Xenoverse player, but on top of that, someone who, as Sparking Zero got closer and closer to release, the hype kind of died down very quickly to the point where I questioned whether I was going to even get it. And there was lots of other things going on, whereas like my computer wouldn't necessarily run it well, so I basically was going to upgrade my computer and had to wait, even though I bought it, I think, the third day it came out. But still, now that I've played both enough, and I still enjoy Sparking Zero to some degree, but it's hard to beat Xenoverse in terms of like what it offers and what it delivers on. So to break it down, so one, in terms of content, Xenoverse isn't trying to sell itself as a PvP game. It's very much like a kind of pseudo RPG, enemy fighter kind of game. You build your custom character. You go into parallel quest. The DLC coming out, it facilitates doing more parallel quests, and then you like do expert missions or raids, or like more story mode. So like the focus is around fighting enemies, like PvE, rather than the PvP aspect, which is there, but realistically no one takes it seriously, and if you do, it's kind of like you're in the minority of the camp in terms of like what the game caters to. Whereas Sparking Zero it focused on the PvP, where the original game was more focused around the offline play because of the kind of game it was. So, for example, Xenoverse story is like fully fleshed out, fully done, and the more DLC it comes out with, the more either story mode it adds or like decent characters it adds. So for story modes where it doesn't add DLC, those characters are used later on. So for example, the Diamond DLC pack didn't have a story, but those characters you use in later DLCs for parallel quests. Or if you go further back, like PyCon and Topo were DLCs, and I don't think they had a story until the DLC after them. So like they will use assets they've acquired over time and use it to like deliver content that you could just play offline, and it's not focused on, oh, this is a new PvP character to try out. And even then, there's lots of free updates like Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Blue, Evolution, Super Saiyan Blue, Ultra Instinct, Beast, and most of them are Saiyan transformations, but at the same time they still, in the Blue Moon, give something like Beast, which, as much as I don't use it, is something that any character can use. So it's like, it's worth the investment. But on Sparking Zero hand, What If feels very lackluster when most of the cutscenes aren't very fleshed out. They're like mocap animation, so it's like people acting out the scenes rather than like it being animated by people. So as much as it's not necessarily that bad, occasionally it has that uncanny valley kind of feel to it, where you can tell a person is moving around in a real space with a rig of like a Dragon Ball character on top of them. So it's a bit of a weird, it gives a weird feel to it. Compare it to like Xenoverse, where it's all animated, and as time goes on the animation gets better, so you get better moves as a result. So you can tell the difference between like an old move that was animated by the original team and a new move animated with the newer team, or just old team with more experience. So in terms of quality of life stuff, it feels like Xenoverse has more polish in terms of like niche things like story mode, animation, even though they're like decades apart. And Sparking Zero, it seems to be the focus in terms of what moves were on the characters themselves rather than the story mode, which in terms of selling it and giving out trailers and stuff works really well. But when you get into the game and that care hasn't gone into the story mode, and you can feel that it's rust, like you can feel when you find out that I'm pretty sure that the game was rushed so it could coincide with Daima. Suddenly that makes so much more sense, because all of the things that you would expect to be polished are polished, like the characters, the transformations, but all of the offline modes seem to be like lackluster, for lack of a better word. So there are things they've added, like the raid boss, I think they've added with where you have certain difficulties, but like for example things like being able to play against an individual person, not even an individual person, being able to play multiple people versus a group of teams. So you say you have two friends, that you each pick a character, and then you have two other friends, they each pick a character, and then you can swap in and out and play. In terms of Sparking Zero, that would make sense for that game, but they didn't really implement that. Whereas Xenoverse, you have like 3-on-3 battles and things like that, where it's like it's little things where you wouldn't necessarily think about it, but it starts to add up when lots of those little things aren't there. So, for example, Xenoverse has endless battles for like playing against people, has like unranked, ranked, playing parallel quests with the online, playing expert missions online, the Fuse Demon Crystal raids. There's loads of things to play with other people that Sparking Zero just kind of doesn't have. It's like, if you want to play online, you've got PvP and custom battles and custom tournaments. So it's like, oh, yay. Whereas like, it basically feels like once you've done the story, with Sparking Zero, once you've done the story, that's kind of just it. There's not really much you're going to get out of the game in terms of an offline experience. And if you like PvP, and that's the reason you got this game, you're a very lucky person. But in terms of what the core game that it's trying to emulate is designed around, it was very clearly like a party game with lots of different features you could do and play with. So like, if they make a sequel, I'm sure they can improve and address these things, but at the moment it's like a good game that's like clearly unfinished, rather than a good game that we can like enjoy. I guess that's kind of just my 2 cents of it. I could be wrong. I welcome any discussion someone wants to have, but as someone who's literally just finished the game for a second time with a Freezer Race character on my third platform of choice, so I played, I've said it before, I played on the PS4, oh no, if we go all the way back, Xenoverse 1 on the PS3, Xenoverse 2 on the PS4, then Xenoverse 2 on the PC, and then I bought Xenoverse 1 on the PC on a deal, and then I moved to Switch because there were so many people only playing modded on the PC. So because I wanted to have an online experience as well, I switched to the Switch, and because of the benefits of playing handheld, I've never looked back, and I'm glad I switched over, because I feel like Xenoverse is one of those things where if you like kind of don't like the grind, you're probably not going to enjoy starting again. But if you're like the kind of person who just likes casually like turning off your brain and playing missions to like rank up or grind out your level with certain games, you won't mind, because I did Like I've got my main character max level. I'm slowly working on my second character being max level, and yeah, the aim is basically to get to a complete the story with at least 5 different characters. So yeah, with Sparking Zero, I've finished the story mode with Goku and slowly getting through with other characters, but it's one of those where it's like it feels like a chore. I don't feel like I'm like having fun. I feel like I'm just like trying to complete a task. And especially because a lot of the what if scenarios, apart from a handful I know about, I'm not really too fussed about. So it just feels like I'm almost wasting my time. And as much as I want to like the game, it does make it really hard when it's like it's almost like a chore to get through the offline stuff. And I don't feel like touching PvP, to be honest with you, because it's very painful when the meta is so defined and it's like, oh, I don't want to just randomly go up against Gogeta or Ultra Instinct Goku and just be rocked. And then that's it, that's my experience, and then I have to go find something else to do after just being frustrated for 5 minutes after waiting 20 minutes for a match. And I think initially for me what I found frustrating is when these issues were like painfully evident, it felt like people had like their heads in the sand and were like, oh, this is an issue, to the point where even in tournaments the game was fundamentally broken. People were using cheese strats to like win, and then when people called out those people for making the match that was supposed to be like watched by people boring, they were like, well, it's the developer's fault for making a broken game. And it's like, it doesn't have to be one person's fault. It can be that the game is broken, but the people playing are just like using cheese strats to ruin the experience for people. Like, it feels weird that it's like it's this scenario where it has to be one person's fault, and that's the end all be of it. It can't be that there are two factors to something, or there are like multiple different facets of it. It has to be one or the other. It's like the saying of like, don't hate the player, hate the game. You can hate both. Like, realistically, you can dislike the way the game's structured, but also dislike the person who is taking advantage of how broken it is. Like, for example, I played Shinobi Strikers, and I kind of just like got burnt out by it, and also finding matches on PC nowadays is a bit of a trek. But when seeing people using exploits that clearly are like bugs in the game, or straight up like buying the cosmetics in the game because they don't like the gacha, to me, it's as much as that should be patched out, or the developer should ban them, whatever you want to do. They are still choosing to just like exploit something. But also, if you like the game that much, why are you bypassing the thing that's like part of the monetization? If you don't like it, the best way to express you don't like it is to just not play, instead of, I'm so desperate for these digital goods that I'm going to like give someone else money when I could either just like, I don't know, grind whatever currency is for free, pay for whatever currency that's there, or don't pay for it. Like, there are multiple options, and you chose to like pay a modder. It's like stuff like that where it's like, this is an extreme example, but the point still stands of just like, it can be a multifaceted thing. So when people go, when even content creators were like, no, it's not their fault, they just wanted to win at any cost. Where it's like, just because you want to win at any cost doesn't make it a noble endeavor that you chose to do that. Like, just because you wanted to win so desperately, you made the game boring for everyone involved. doesn't make you the good guy for wanting to win. Like, I feel like we can definitely achieve better than that. Like, this feels like a very sad scenario to be in, where it's like, oh, winning, that's all that matters, and it's all up to developers to make sure that winning is achievable in the most fair way possible, when that's not realistic, because bugs exist, like errors in codes exist. There will always be an exploit or an unfair way to play, or like a disrespectful way to play, like teabagging, for example. Like, most people can teabag in a tournament, but most people know not to do that because it's disrespectful. So, yeah, that's my 2 cents and why I think Xenoverse is thriving on its 10-year anniversary, on its 5th Festival of Universes, and Sparking Zero is in a bit of a lull state. I think if it remembers what Tenkaichi was actually like famous for, it can turn it around, or it can improve it in a sequel because it made enough money. So yeah, we'll see. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later. Goodbye.